Hello and welcome, it's Fiona for Weekly Sewing Bee. Hi. Okay, today we are going to make a ballet bag. So with a tutu, turquoise. It looks more purple on the screen, but it is turquoise. And then another band, and then two handles. Now, okay, cute as, because it's got a tutu on it. But it is difficult when you've got a load of girls and their bags are all the same, trying to find yours. So, you know, this will really stand out. Okay, what I have here is quite a large rectangle of just grey fabric, and I'm going to highlight the bag with this lovely PVC table covering. And all I'm going to do here is I've got two pieces of each. I'm just going to go in slightly and cut a triangle off. So those two rectangles are now taken in slightly, and then the same with this rectangle of grey fabric. So this is four folded. It's folded in half and then it's folded at the bottom. I have, for the handles, some backing of this lovely wool and the top with the PVC, and then I have two strips of turquoise. Honestly, it's turquoise. I know it looks purple. Okay, my machine's all set up now. I'm a huge fan of doing bits and then sewing bits to the body, so let's start with that. Now I'm going to place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the wool underneath and then this fabric on top, and I'll show you what it sews like. So I'm holding it very gently, but I'm guiding it in, and I'm just keeping an eye on it to keep it straight. Because we do regard this PVC fabric as a difficult sew. Hasn't sewn too badly at all. Okay, now this time I'm going to place it down with the wool on top, and I am going to get rid of that because it's annoying. Okay, so the teeth at the bottom have absolutely no problem sewing the PVC. But I'm finding that the top layer of this wool is slightly stretching, just because of the pressure of the foot. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of pushing in those, I suppose tiny pleats. And even though I've done that, you can keenly see that I've come over more on the wool. So if I was to do this in large scale, what I would do is I would do them all the same way round. So no matter how bad the situation, they all look the same. But yes. Okay, these are going to need to be turned inside out, and then we're going to top stitch those on. So I can come back to that. Now I have my square with pleated bits of wool fabric, and I have my PVC. Now I'm going to right side to right side, and you can just place it in the machine just to hold it still, and then with my tutu, so my long strip of turquoise tutu, I'm going to get an end, and I think I'm going to roll it just to start off with. So that's all that I've done. This is just going to make sewing so much easier for me, because otherwise it's going to sort of ping out in my future stitches. So I've lifted the PVC up. I'm placing the roll of fabric under my foot and I'm placing that down. Now what I'm going to do is a bit cheeky, and there are other ways to do it if you don't fancy trying this, is I'm going to sew, and every inch I sew I am going to aim to put 4 inches of this in there. So I'm just going to pleat it up. I'm going to keep an eye that I've got a bit sticking out. This is just reassurance for my sewing. So I'm going to push some down and then I'm going to sew. Now the other way to do it is to make a little tube at the top of this and then gather it and then place it in. It really is depending on how happy you are. Now I quite like the sort of push-in method so that I can keep a good solid eye on it, and I know that my pleats are equal, so which just looks so much better. So I'm going to make sure that the grey fabric is lying down flat, and then I'm going to pull my PVC back over, a couple of stitches, grab another couple of inches, push them all up. I know, it is whichever way you're comfortable with. If you want to pre-gather your ruffles, then that's fine. You know, when you do pre-gather your ruffles, do make sure that you have them as equal as possible and that you have them all sticking out. So yes, and of course, as we know, the machine likes to have the wool on the lower step. So for this, and as you can see, coming out the other side of the machine, I've got bits sticking up, so which is all good. There we are. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm not going to force feed exactly all. If I need to trim some off at the end, then that's what I'll do. I'm not a worrier. I'm not going to worry about that. If I don't finish it, then I'm quite happy to trim it off. So last little bit, and again I'm going to roll this bit up just so that it doesn't get caught in the seam for later. So now I just finished that. Now even though we cut and measured the material at the same size, there is a little bit, and I'm just going to trim that off. Because we're not working to a pattern, then we do have the advantage of adjusting the pattern as we go. So that's what we're left with. I'm going to come around the other side and I'm literally going to do the same again. So I have my complete strip of turquoise. I hope it doesn't look turquoise when it's actually on YouTube. It's just one of those things. It looks turquoise in this light on the screen on the camera, because I do have a little screen. And I occasionally check to see if I'm in shot. Not probably as regularly as I should. So here we go. I have got the pointed end of the wool. I have rolled my turquoise netting up. A couple of stitches just to secure it. And then I'm going to just double check that I'm on the right side. So I've got this side up. And I'll put that over on the table just to take the weight of the fabric. A lot of the time when we're sewing and things sort of seem to go wrong, it's basically the machine has sort of had weight of the fabric pulled out. Okay, so they're my sewing jobs to do, and then I can start putting the whole bag together when I'm done. Alright, so I'm going to pause the camera for now. Hi, welcome back. So, I have the handles turned inside out, and I'm just top stitching them now. I just prefer the look, and this is personal taste. So yes, it is a little bit of unnecessary work for you, but such is life. Okay, now I have sewn the handle onto the other side, and I've also hemmed that. So I'm going to first of all trim where the sewing machine pushed out the fabric when I joined them together. So just trim that, and then I'm going to sew a fold over. It's not going to fray, so it is purely decorative. Now this is the side that you're going to have trouble with if you have trouble with it. So if it's a very hot day, you might find that it's very tacky. To counteract that, you can always put fabric in the fridge. I know, it sounds crazy, but that'll stop it from being tacky. You can always put just a smidge of baby oil on the foot of the machine, and that will help it glide through. Now what I'm doing here, and I hope I'm in shot, is I am literally just lining up these handles. Now you can, with a pencil or something, just make a little mark where you're going to put them. Yeah. So, next job, sew on the handles. Now, okay, it's going to take some time, only because I like to do along the top and down the bottom and then across and then down the sides. I know, and I just think it looks nice because we will be able to see these stitches on the other side. So I'm sewing along. I'm making sure that this doesn't get all tangled up. Yeah, it can happen. And I'm stopping on the corner, sewing a little bit. Each corner I do, I leave my needle down, and then I'm just sewing back up. And then when I've done all four sides of the square and the cross, I'm happy bunny. Yeah, and it's just one of those things. What am I doing? So the next job is to actually sew the body of the bag up. Now I'm going to do this on a sewing machine, and then I'm going to go over it with a cross stitch, or I might even get the overlocker out. If I get the overlocker out for another job, then what I will do is I will just literally run over those stitches just to keep them in. Yeah, I'm not 100% worried, you know. Sorry about this. I don't want to stop the camera because then I won't be able to upload it straight away. I'll have to edit it because I can only pause this camera once. Oh, I don't believe it. If the camera's not running, I can thread needles. It's just a Fiona thing. So, yes. Sorry about that, guys. Now I've knotted it. Oh, and it was going so well. Okay, so the next job is to go down the side of the bag. So inside out, and I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. So what's important is to line up these two grey seams. Now, because we rolled the end of it, it should stay out of our way. But when I get close to that, basically I'm just going to check that I haven't got it caught up. So I'm going to line up the top two seams, and now I'm going to line up these bottom two seams. So if I need to push in a little bit of an extra fabric from the bottom sheet, then I will do. And if I need to push in a little bit of extra fabric from the top, I will do. But they do make the difference. And whilst I was lining up the seams, obviously I checked that my netting was out. I'm just going to whiz down here. Obviously I've straightened out our angle. And away I go. I'm going to do exactly the same with this side. I'm going to line up the top so that's flush. Place that in the sewing machine. Couple of reverse stitches, get it all neat. Get well into the line of stitches so that I can do my fiddling when I come to probably 2 inches away. Any more than that and you'll get a bit, well, you might need to do it again. Okay, whiz down the bottom here, making sure everything's swept out of the way. Lovely. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm literally pulling this apart so that I have a sort of bunny ear. This is the seam we've just sewn, and I've pinched the back here so that I can spread it out, and now I've got a triangle. Now, yeah, it does need to be quite exact, really. And what I'm doing is I'm sewing it before I cut it. Oh, I was going to say a minute or two about the size of the bag. Okay, for ballet shoes, you only need a bag that's pretty much the size of ballet shoes. You know, sometimes they have a cardigan. They don't need to take a lot. But what they do need their larger bag for is to put the clothes that they would be wearing when they arrive in. Now, it is pretty much chucked on a pile, I must admit. But yeah, that's why we need it slightly larger. And if they do a recycle or something, then their bags they'll need to put everything in their bags. Okay, so what I did was just trim off my last corner that I did completely by eye, and I used that as a measuring device for my other corner. So now I know I have to sew on that handle, and I know I have to do all this trimming of my loose ends, but I can give you quite a good idea of what the bag would look like. So there we go. Pretty much only a tote bag, but definitely a ballet bag. Alright, well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and I do daily videos. Please try and catch me again. Thank you.